What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Got me, Darren here, over here in Cloverdale. Got Casey out in San Jose, and Tyler over in Santa Rosa. What's up, gentlemen? How we doing Sunday? January, what do we got? January 10th. How we doing?
Doing
One of my
good.
favorite.
Doing good. Just ready for this podcast. It's a little different in the car, but hey, we're making it happen. We're doing what we can to do big things around here.
That's good. I'm glad to see you have good audio there. That's important there in that neighborhood. Tech City, in Silicon Valley. Or Silicon. Team, what's up, man?
It's one of my favorite weekends of the year.
Yes,
Super wild card weekend.
And for, we always do the podcast Sunday morning. We actually get to kind of discuss some of the games that we got to watch yesterday a little bit and kind of react on those.
And don't forget about Monday. Monday, big championship game.
Yes, it is. We can probably let's touch on that a little bit too, probably at the end here. Maybe give our predictions on that as I get started. Tyler, I thought it was funny when I read your tweet yesterday morning. We'll get it right into the NFL right now. It kind of gets us into our first game, anyways. Is you tweeted? It's funny how the AFC South always starts the first game out
every Saturday morning.
It always gets that 10 a.m. Raiders, Texans again. Colts there get that early time. Titans this morning. So it's so true. So that kind of leads us into the game. Colts at Bills yesterday. What a game it actually turned out to be. It was kind of your typical wild card game in some ways. Not perfectly played, not perfectly well coached. Some very good players,
terribly
but very
well coached on one side.
On one side, if you want to say it. Some I would say good players, but you'd also have some of those good players were flawed, and you could see some of those things that came up yesterday a little bit. But what did you guys think? What was your takeaway from the Bills win yesterday? They ended up winning 27-24, partially because of the big man's recovery of that fumble at the very end of the game. So I'll let you go first, T, and then Case, and then I'll go last. So get started there.
My first takeaway was Frank Reich gets like all the credit for the Eagles Super Bowl, but he clearly blew this game for the Colts. Let's go over that real quick. What are the things you thought he blew? They left 11 points on the board on the field that were. I mean, basically the kickers blame for some of them, but when they went for it on fourth down, when they lost 3 yards on 3rd and 1 from the goal, like on the goal line,
yeah,
it didn't make sense why they were going for it at the time. Even when it was happening, I was like, you're on the 4-yard line, just kick the field goal.
Wasn't it 7-3 at the time or something?
Yeah, 10-7. Yeah. So what was it, Casey?
10-7.
10-7. Okay, so it puts you up 6.
Yeah, and just, I mean, maybe if you threw an incomplete or like whatever happened, you didn't lose 3 yards to go back to the 4. It just didn't make sense to me. And then the Bills are a weird team to me because the way they played that game, they're not beating the Chiefs, and that's the second best AFC team when Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. And then another takeaway was Jonathan Taylor is going to be a beast, in my opinion. I think he's going to be one of the best running backs in the NFL, and next year especially. So I wonder what he'll be going in fantasy drafts.
You'd think probably top 10 for sure.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, when I watched that and they're up 10-7, I mean, the thing was the timing of it didn't make sense because it's like towards the end of the half. So if you go up by 6, you got to make them go the full length of the field. I mean, you're already going to make them do that, but you're going up 6. And then I was like, it always happens. I don't get NFL linemen. Why are you jumping off sides on 4th down? I was just like, what they're trying to do. And then that led to a huge Bills rushing touchdown by Josh Allen. And it's like a huge swing of momentum. So now it's 14-10 Bills going in the half opposed to 13-7, most likely Colts. So to me, like Tyler's talking about leaving points, I was like, not only did you leave points, but you gave them points. So those are huge in playoffs. Like those are just backbreakers. And then like Tyler said, though, Jonathan Taylor's an absolute beast, man. That guy's just a stud. I mean, the Colts offensive lines, they're damn good. So, I mean, they're opening up holes, like monster holes. But you can
he
just
didn't
tell.
even have that great of a game, but you can just tell, like, in my opinion.
Well, even Hines was breaking off big runs. Like, you can tell their line's good. And I don't know. What'd you guys think about, though, kind of fast forwarding? What'd you think about the last, like, I don't know, their last drive they had? Because I thought it was just terrible play calling. I mean, trying to get in the field goal range, and they're just, I don't know. It was Phillip Rivers throwing the ball like, I mean, granted, no one was open, but, just no one's open. He's chucking it 20 feet over the guy's head, and then all of a sudden you're down to a Hail Mary when you could easily, I thought, use the full field at that point. But I don't know.
I thought they could have tried earlier in the drive to throw down the middle. They kind of were dinky to dunk it a little bit at the beginning there, but I just feel like that final drive is kind of a correlation of how the game kind of turned out to be for the Colts in general. I mean, you guys talked about them leaving points on the board because of the coach, but the kicker also missed a 33-yard field goal in the third quarter, which was, I mean, that's what you got to make. Point. You can't miss those in the playoffs. I mean, that's why you go for that field goal earlier in the game, because anytime in the playoffs, I just feel like you don't leave points on the board. There are certain times you go for it. I agree. There are, but it's kind of to me, it's just such a momentum thing when you feel it. And you know what I mean? That's the kind, and I feel like, so I don't know. It was a weird call by him overall. I kind of wanted to get your thoughts though, because we talked about him a lot last week, Casey, and then we'll move on to the next game here in a few minutes. But was Allen? I talked to Nick Flanagan before the game started, and he's like, I told him I was going to take the Colts and the points, and my reason being was because I feel like for a team like the Bills, I don't know what it is most of the time, especially a quarterback like Allen, who's good, but he's not automatic. We both know that. We all know that. Sometimes it takes like a weird game to win or something like that. It's always kind of a tight game. So I thought he played well, but we obviously saw some of his major flaws, a little loose with the ball, sometimes can get a little bit short in the pocket a little bit. So just quick thoughts on Allen, you guys thought from his performance.
I thought he played well. I wouldn't say he played spectacular. And kind of to your point before, there's no way they're going to beat the Chiefs if they play that same type of game. They're going to get blown out the water. I mean, unless their defense steps up huge. But Allen, I thought, played pretty comparable, but some of his decision making, like he was making good throws. I mean, you can tell he's dynamic with his feet. But the thing that I thought he did the same thing. I mean, he didn't throw it backwards this year, but you can't take a sack and go 2nd and 33 and then build yourself out of a hole, because it's just, you can't do those things in the playoffs. It's just it kills, man. You can't do those mental mistakes. You can't. And I mean, he's so lucky, because if the Colts get that fumble, that's always what if. But if they get that fumble, man, I mean, that's just like every Bills fan was just like, no. Like, all you have to do is just go forward, just get positive yards. Don't lose 23 yards on a play.
He also ran the ball 11 times for 54 yards. That's where I thought his best run or best play call was that one kind of right before half a little bit there.
I mean, his stat line,
go ahead on Allen.
His stat line's spectacular. He's the first player in NFL history to have, I think it was either 250 or 300 yards with a touchdown, and then 50 yards plus with a touchdown, and completed over 70% of his passes. So, the stat line is unreal, but he made that mistake that, you're like, you freaking idiot. What are you doing?
There's just, it's just like those in-game little things, right? Like you're kind of talking about.
He tries to do too much at some point. But, I mean, he makes a lot happen trying to do it sometimes. So,
but
got to take the good with the bad.
He did get his win, and I don't think they're going to play this bad next week. That's what I would think. I think sometimes you get that first one out of the way, you might play a little better. Last thing before I go to the next game, I saw a lot of Bills Mafia stuff after the game. These guys they're
crazy.
They get a lot of liquid courage. I'll tell them that. There's one video where they light this plastic table on fire, and they threw the guy's back into the fire, and then his back's on fire. There's it's almost like they were a little panicked, but they were also like, all right, we'll just dump him in snow.
Did you guys hear about that bet that Colin Cowherd made with Nick Wright?
What was the bet?
I was kind of hoping, I wanted the Bills to win, but I really wanted to see it. You know how they drenched that guy in the face with ketchup and mustard?
Oh, yeah.
So Nick Wright made a bet that if the Bills lost their first game, that Colin Cowherd had to do that live on TV.
That would have been kind of better. I'm sure there would have been a lot of people that would have enjoyed that.
What Nick Wright bet?
They had, so it's like they win the first one, and it's a push, or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And if they lost, then he had to do it. So all they had to do was win one game.
So Nick Wright had nothing at stake.
Nah,
what a crappy bet.
Yeah, that's not right. We were hoping for a little bit more on that one. What do you guys think about? Let's go to the next game now. Unless you guys had anything else to point about that one. Good on the Bills, Colts. I think next week the Bills play. Next week the Bills will play either the Colts or they'll either play the Steelers or Ravens or Titans. So we'll see. Well, actually, they won't play the Ravens. I think if the Ravens won, they'll play automatically the Chiefs.
Steelers,
so
Titans. No, the Bills aren't playing the Chiefs no matter what.
No. I said the Bills, the Ravens will play the Chiefs if they win.
Yeah, and the Bills will play winner of Steelers.
Yes. All right, second game, Rams, Seattle. This game wasn't as entertaining to me in terms of just the name power behind it, partially because Goff had with the quarterback to start. Remind me of his name. I know, is it Holcomb,
Wolford?
right? Wolford. I mean, Wolford. He actually played. He didn't even play okay. Let's be honest. He didn't play that great. He does get knocked out by the game. Long. I give Goff credit though. He broke his thumb 2 weeks ago, and he still was able to I don't even think I could throw a ball if I broke my throwing hand thumb.
Was it on his throwing? I thought it was on his other.
I'm pretty sure it was on his throwing hand.
Yeah, it's on his
that's unreal.
I'm just thinking about that's at least 3 months of physical therapy probably. So that's pretty beastly performance to at least hold the ball after. So hey, remember that opposable thumb is very important.
Us and the chimpanzee are the only one with it.
Now, if you go to our Fatboy FadeAway page, currently I do have the pinned tweet as earlier in the day I did say Bills win, Rams win, and the Bucks win. So I'm feeling pretty good about that Rams prediction. My feeling going into the game was, I think Tyler, you called it earlier in the year, Seattle or Wilson kind of struggles against the Rams in general a little bit.
NFC West.
Yeah.
All the teams struggle against the NFC West. It's weird.
And it seems like yeah, no, you're right. They've always struggled there. Against the Rams, it seems like they've even had it more. I didn't really think the Rams would get off to a 20-10 lead. I think that's what surprised me the most. And then they were able to kind of just hold on pretty, comfortably from then, stayed in that 10-point range. So you guys' thoughts on the Rams moving on, and Seattle, who looked so good at the beginning, and Wilson, all the MVP talk is out.
I just thought that pick 6 was huge. That was just a big momentum swinger. And Wilson never does those type of things. That's just not in his DNA. And I mean, Tyler was saying that the NFC West, but it's hard when you play a team 3 times in a year. I mean, they know what you're doing, vice versa. So it just comes down to X's and O's and who performs well. And I don't know. It was kind of a choppy game, but Seattle, their offense just could not get going. I don't know why I don't know. They just everyone was so high on them, and I just
because of Wilson, right?
What?
Because of Wilson, how good of a start he got off to.
But I feel like he's playing with Tom Brady's type of player. I mean, he's got Metcalf.
Metcalf.
Whoa, Metcalf and Lockett. That's not.
No,
Tom
when
Brady.
he used to play with the Patriots, he had 2 guys, and if you shut them down, then it's basically you're trying to let other guys try and beat you.
I guess Gronk was 2 guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Edelman, I'd rather have Metcalf and Lockett. At least receivers.
No, Tyler, what did you think of the game or
my
just the outcome at least?
Were Metcalf is a beast. And then I didn't get why the Rams started Wolford if you're gonna dress Goff and can play him anyway. I don't tough it up. Just sort of you can dress.
Yeah,
they almost lost faith in him.
Well, I mean, I would maybe.
He definitely has earned it, but you trust Wolford or whatever. I don't know. He didn't look very good. He looked terrible.
I do trust the University of Wolford to beat over Goff. No, I'm just kidding. And then
maybe
I think so. In some ways, maybe that helps the Rams. Case, I want to go back to your thing because Madden. That's what we use. That's our football knowledge, right? I mean, that's where we develop our love for the game more than anything is. But we know if you throw a pick 6 in that game, it just swings that. You're always chasing those 7 points.
Well, we're
Seattle,
also playing 3-minute quarters.
Well, that's true, but we're also we're also going a little. We're not using all the play clock.
That's true.
But I just thought it was kind of a good little thing with him. Like that interception. You're right. It just changes the momentum like that. And then when usually those games are low scoring, you're chasing those 7 points the rest of the game. And it's just, if it wasn't for Myers hitting 2 52-yard field goals, it would have been, they would have had even 6 less points. So kind of a real disappointing end for Seattle.
The Rams defense is stacked. I mean, they're good. Like all the way.
They spent a ton of money on defense, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, they traded the picks for Jalen Ramsey, and then Aaron Donald's like the highest paid. So I mean, they're stout up front. I mean, they're not like by any means like I think they have like the best pass defense in the NFL. I believe so, because Hill's
they have the number one defense. I know that.
So who are they playing next week then? They play with, are they the high seed? I can't remember. They can't be the high
Rams?
seed. Yeah, they got to be. They probably
play
the winner.
Seed was the Saints, so
they play the Bucks.
I think they're facing the Bucks, and the Bucks got the home game.
That's an interesting matchup.
Oh, you're right.
I guess we'll see what Chicago does today, but that's kind of an interesting one there. All right, so Rams win. They'll be the representative of the NFC West moving forward here. So we'll see if they can do Tyler's division.
The Bucks have a home field because they didn't even have a home field this week. So you can go from road game to home field and wild card. That just seems strange.
It
could happen.
No, because we're forgetting about the bye. So what will happen is the Bucks will.
Well, Washington won the division. That's why they had the home game.
Yeah, but next week the Bucks will play. Next week the Bucks will play Green Bay. That's what will probably happen if New Orleans wins, right? No, excuse me, because the Rams would be a higher seed than Tampa. Yeah. So the Rams would play Green Bay, and if the Saints win, Tampa Bay would play New Orleans again, which would last time was not a very good performance for the Bucks, as we remember on Sunday Night Football.
That was his last bad performance. So
we'll see how that goes from there. All right, let's get into this. Let's get into the last game of the week here. Tampa Bay, Washington, 31-23. Tampa Bay pulls it out. I think if we watched the game, though, I think if anybody watched it, even though they lost, you just think, I can't call him Heineken. I got to call him Heineke. He performed well. He deserved it. He made some spectacular plays. And that's literally I felt like when I'm watching that guy play, like if I had a backup quarterback, you would play hard for that guy. You know what I mean? Because he's making plays with his arms. He's like getting out of pressure. He doesn't look like a Super Bowl quarterback by any means or a playoff quarterback. He looks like he'll probably get hurt in 3 weeks. And after doing some research on him, that is part of his issue. He's only 6'1", 220, and he's gotten hurt a lot. But and even got hurt on that spectacular 4-yard leap to the end zone. He ended up hurting his shoulder there, like almost separating it, and then had led him on a spectacular drive. The next way was about 5 minutes left in the game. So, I mean, I don't even in some ways care about what the Bucks did. They should have won this game. You know what I mean? And some people were saying, well, the Bucks front four or the Washington's front four in this, but I'm just like, come on, it's Washington's offense shouldn't score more than 20 points. And the way this guy performed, I was impressed. What'd you think, T?
Watching the first half, I was like, oh, this is what we thought it was going to be, a big 40-0 blowout. And yeah, they played well. The Antonio Brown starting to come around. So I think the Bucs offense is looking more and more, even more, and Godwin's healthy now. And the Bucs are going to be tough out.
Yeah, but I want to get your thoughts real quick before we get to Casey on Big Heineke. I mean, you're the quarterback guru here.
Heineke, he had a good game. He's Heineke. I don't expect to ever hear his name again, to be honest.
No. Did you think that performance was anything?
Yeah, he played great. He showed a lot of heart. Yeah. That touchdown was unreal. Like, that athleticism is ridiculous for a 6'1", 220-pound, pale-skinned guy.
Casey, what do you think of Keanu Reeves' performance or Heineke's performance in his game there?
As Washington would say, winners want the ball. Winners want the ball. So,
exactly.
I don't know. I thought he played pretty damn well, man. I mean, if you went into that game and someone said you have a chance to tie the game and get a 2-point conversion with your last possession, I'm pretty damn sure the Washington team would take that.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I was just disappointed in the Bucks. Honestly, I thought they would come out with, and I don't know, they went 1 for 4 in the red zone. That's not going to cut it. I mean, you got to get more than one touchdown in the red zone, especially if you have 4 chances. And then I don't know, just like Heineke, I think he did I think they they went to even, if Alex Smith played, I think he outplayed if Alex Smith would have played. I don't think
There's no way Alex Smith could have ran like that. No. Alex Smith could have.
Alex Smith was 5-1 as a starter this year.
No, I know. I just mean, I don't think he could get away from those. The Bucks have a pretty fast defense, and he had some escapability, so it just gave them at least a chance to make some plays. And he came out pretty actually confident when I saw him throwing, and Sims missed one big over the middle, and I was like, oh, this guy's actually got a pretty decent arm. And then he was kind of just, I don't know, some of the throws he was making, I was like, geez, it kind of looks like not a legit starter, but he belongs in the NFL.
He reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick, a little more athleticism and not as good at throwing, but just that sort of how hard he threw the ball was not overly impressive, but he got it there.
I wanted to get off the couch and play for him. I was like, man, he's got me motivated.
I think that's what for me got me motivated. Somebody that just kind of sometimes when you coach and you're trying to get the best out of somebody, it was kind of cool to see this guy we can, like you said, Tyler, he's probably not going to make another start again. Maybe he will down the road just because of this, get a chance. But I mean, he's not going to be nobody's going to say this guy's going to be our starter going into the season unless you're in trouble there. But it was just kind of cool to see somebody rise to the occasion a little bit and to see his teammates. I think it was the Trace Young guy that was pointing out his last name and, just kind of it just was kind of cool to see the team kind of get behind it, rally behind a guy like that. But,
for a little bit, I thought they were going to make a Disney movie about him if he pulled it off.
You never know. If they would have won, they never know. You could have got it. He beat Thomas. He could have
been He could have been the legend killer.
All right, so Tampa Bay, they move on. They're going to probably end up playing more than likely, unless Chicago pulls off the upset. We've determined after our great analysis there that they're going to be playing probably New Orleans. And that would actually probably favor.
That was more analyst than
yes, I would agree there. All right, let's. So those were the games from yesterday. Let's get into the games today. We'll make our picks. We'll kind of preview a little bit what you're kind of looking for, things that you're kind of reasons why you're going with the team as well. Let's start out with the first game again. Of course, AFC South representative playing at 10 a.m. You got the Tennessee Titans versus the Baltimore Ravens. Surprisingly to me, I was shocked a little bit. I guess I thought the Titans would be more favored, but they're actually the underdog. They're 3.5
now.
3.5 now, plus 160 money line and a 54-point total over. I ended up going with the over, and I went with the Titans I just went with the Titans to win outright. I went with a little bit more payday on the plus 160 there. So big 50 cents, gentlemen, wins me 190. So let's see if I can pull that off today.
Pay for that McDonald's coffee.
Hey, what do you guys think about this game? It's an interesting one to me because the Titans have won 2 straight. They knocked them out of the playoffs last year in Baltimore.
They beat them this year in Baltimore.
In Baltimore, close game. Both of them pretty close games.
Yeah. Well, 2012 was the
that one wasn't the one this year.
Last year.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your thoughts, T, on that matchup? You got Henry, obviously King Henry, over 2,000 yards, who should definitely be in the running for MVP, like we discussed last week.
I mean, we saw it last year. We saw it this year. I don't see how they're not the favorite at home. It just doesn't make sense to me. They have better playmakers other than at quarterback, all over the field with AJ Brown and Henry. And then they have their defenses both aren't the best this year. And I don't know how the Ravens will win this game unless Lamar Jackson runs for 200 yards or 150 yards.
I kind of think the Ravens were the favorite kind of partially because of their expectations going into the year. I'm not saying this is right, but I think it's because their expectations going into the year and they have won 4 straight, and they've looked pretty good in them. But if you look at those 4 teams they played, other than the Browns team, who's borderline
didn't have a receiver.
They haven't played. They played Jacksonville. They played Cincinnati, and they played, I want to say, not another good team as well. So you can kind of look at
the three worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah, so you can kind of look at their schedule a little bit and kind of say, well, I'm not willing to give them 3.5 points. Let's just put it that way. Case, what do you think about the game today? What do you got?
I think it's being high scoring, but it's going to be whoever can pound that rock the best. I mean, they got the best running back. You got the best running quarterback on the other side. Tyler's mentioned before. I mean, he kind of left out Corey Davis, so but A.J. Brown and, you know, Derrick Henry and even Tannehill, man, he's playing like a stud this year, so don't leave his name out. And then I don't know. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think it's going to come down to a last possession, last minute field goal. And I definitely got the Ravens winning actually, but by 3 points. So I think they won't cover the spread. So, but I can see him pulling it out. But I'm actually pulling for the Titans for our buddy Nick Charles III Flanagan. But
I know one of the rare Titans fans out here. He's been a Titans fan his whole.
Is he still a Titans fan? I thought he didn't like him after McNair.
Well, I think he got a little frustrated with their ownership a little bit after the Chris Johnson kind of era. A little bit. I think he got a little fed up with all the way they
had Vince
stuff.
Young.
He was a huge Vince Young fan. He was very disappointed when they benched him for Kerry Collins and stuff like that. I know that still stings pretty bad for him. But I have, Nick, if you keep listening to this podcast, we will bring up a good memory here. So just keep listening there, young man. All right. The thing, I have a question.
They did lose to the Raiders in the AFC Championship. That was a good memory for you too.
That was the AFC Championship round. That's a very good memory. And one of the loudest arenas I've ever, or stadiums I've ever been. All right. If you had to tackle either Henry or Lamar Jackson, who do you think you would have a better chance to tackle? The answer cannot be neither. That's the obvious one. I'm just saying, if you had a chance from 10 yards out, who would
10 yards out?
They're coming at you from, okay, we'll say 5 yards out.
I'll go with Henry and hope he just stumbles over me as he runs me over. Because there's no way I'm tackling Lamar Jackson. He's gonna and there's no way I'm tackling Henry, but I'll go with Henry and hope he stumbles over me and falls.
I'm going with Lamar Jackson because I wouldn't even attempt to tackle Derrick Henry.
He wouldn't even tackle. I don't think
he'll tackle you.
I don't think he's going to tackle. I don't want to be like Josh Norman and all the other guys.
What if you get $10 million if you tackle either one? So you're going to try.
It would if I was getting $10 million. I think if I was literally from 5 yards out, I think I would have to try. To do Lamar Jackson because Henry, he would just literally his arm would just stiff arm me before I'd even be able to get to him. And I don't think
Lamar
then
Jackson would just run right and you're not going to touch him.
Just guess which one.
I literally that's what I'm hoping. I'm literally hoping I can guess with him and trip him up. That's my only, just barely hit that baby toe and maybe if I could slide tackle, I'd pick Henry, but I can't slide tackle. That's the problem with that one. All right. So those are the games. That's the Baltimore-Tennessee game. So in case you're going with Tennessee, Tyler, who are you going with? Tennessee. Okay. I'm going with Tennessee too. Yeah, and we're probably all going with Tennessee in the spread too. There, I'm thinking then. Obviously,
well, I got Baltimore winning, but I got them not covering the spread.
Okay, let's go to let's kind of quickly go on this next one because I'm just not a big Mitchell fan. Who do you guys got in the Bears Saints game today?
I'm taking the Bears. Well, I'm taking the Saints to win the game, but I have the Bears covering.
Yeah, because it's minus. I think the Saints are 10-point favorites.
Yeah.
Right. So
I mean, the Bears' offense has actually been pretty legit, except for the Week 17 showing. They've scored 30, 36, 33, 41 their last 4 games before that. They probably played weak competition, and then you have Hakeem Nicks and Khalil Mack, and if they can be very disruptive, that's how you beat the Saints, especially with a beat up Drew Brees. So I think they have the recipe to kind of pull off an upset, but Mitchell's not very good. So
it's hard to depend
I'll take
on
the
Mitchell.
10 points.
It's hard to depend on Mitchell. Casey, you got?
I got the Saints 43-17. I think it's going to be an absolute blowout. I don't even think after the second, probably not even third quarter, it's going to be like 30-7, something like that. And I don't know. The point spread was kind of interesting because I think if it was 9 bad ribs, they would have, but he's got 11, so the point spread's 10. And I was just like, I'll just, I don't know. I have no.
What's the difference?
Casey's leaving the Saints Super Bowl champions open for one more week.
That's it. So I'm going to go with.
I don't want to see the Bears play in the next round. I don't know.
They do get Michael Thomas back, the Saints. I'm not sure how much that helps, but I mean, I'm assuming it's got to help a little bit, right?
So they've been resting him, so he should be good to go.
I just don't say about
Go ahead,
Bucks and Redskins. You said you don't want to see the Bears. I was like, I don't want to see the football team. I said the racist word. Damn it! I don't want to see the football. I don't want to see the football team play next week. There's no way I'm rooting for them.
And I don't want to see Mitchell play next week. You're
right. I don't want to, but I just think Mac and Hicks can make a difference.
I mean, the Saints did lose last year to the Vikings in the wild card round. They have history of not always playing well in this round. So we'll see what happens there.
Speaking of that, sorry, I got to chime in real quick. Speaking of that racist name, did you guys watch the week before Washington's last game?
Mm-mm.
It's got a little tidbit. Al Michaels said that racist name, and he goes, "Well, it was inevitable. That's
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those habits. It's like it's going to happen. It's like when they do the Cleveland, when the Cleveland Indians.
And then Chris Collinsworth followed it up and said it again. I was like, idiot.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I think I know I've said it at least 8 times on this podcast. All right, let's go to the last one. Case your team here, the Browns. They're playing at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh coming off a very nice comeback against the Colts the week before to stave off the division. It's the primetime game tonight. I'll let you have the first ones. Who do you got to win? Who do you got to cover the spread? The Steelers are 6-point favorites as of right now. What do you like?
Me and Rachel Bonetta from Fox Bet Live, we've been sticking with the Browns for quite some time. So our boy Baker Mayfield's going to come through and he's going to advance on to the next round. I think he's going to have a whale of a game. It's going to be tough with no head coach and their play caller and then a couple guys out with COVID as well. So I think that's a big hit, and they haven't even been able to practice until Thursday. And then, so, I mean, that's tough, and that's basically like a walkthrough. And then, I don't know. I think Juju Smith-Schuster's been talking a lot of shit, man. I mean, he's calling the Browns the same old Browns, gray nameless faces, same Browns, He's got a lot of stuff to back up. I mean, he's only had 100 game this year. And after Antonio Brown left, he's been pretty much nothing. So, I don't know. And if they lose, he's going to get a lot of shit because they played well last week and they took away his TikTok account basically and said you can't talk. And then he's like, oh, I'll just do it over the live in the podium. So here we go. But I think it's going to be a physical game like it always is between the North teams. But I got the Browns winning.
Obviously not surprised you picked the Browns. It's pretty, you're going to keep your Super Bowl picks alive. T, I'm curious to see who you got in this one.
Well, I got the Steelers. The Browns, I agree with Juju, especially with no head coach, no offensive play caller. I don't see how you win. It's just too much I feel like the Browns to overcome. I mean, if it was a normal circumstances, the Browns are offense I'd take over the Steelers. But Steelers at home, and I just don't see how the Browns win.
I feel like I'm going to go against I'm going to go actually with the Browns to win this one. I feel like, I don't know why, just a feeling. I don't think it's going to be a pretty game. I don't think I'd be shocked if they blow them out. I feel like Pittsburgh's flawed. And I don't know. I feel like this is a game where the Browns could not play well and still win, maybe on a field goal to win the game or something. I'd be surprised if they just came out and kicked their butt or something like that. But I could just see Pittsburgh not playing, maybe getting off to a good start and then kind of regressing a little bit like their season, and they can't run the ball very well. I don't know, just kind of a weird game for me. I'm gonna go with Cleveland. Case, I'm gonna keep your Super Bowl dream alive, and we're gonna go with that one here. So that's our. You guys have anything else to add to that game? Are we good on that one?
We're good as long as the Browns keep winning. That's good.
It'll be interesting to see what Baker and that Baker-Ben matchup is kind of naturally you're like, that favors Ben, but he has been so bad this year. It's really hard for me to say, he's automatic to just outplay him. So and they haven't ran the ball at all this year. And that's usually what Pittsburgh does best is they run the ball, and they don't run the ball this year.
If Baker wins the game, this will be a big time lift for his confidence. Not that he needs any more, but I mean, I think it'll. I mean, without your head coach and play caller, I think if you can pull this one off, you got to have all the confidence in the world going forward.
Yeah, I would think so for sure.
Maybe he'll stop listening to his head coach and offensive coordinator if he wins this one. You're like, I'll call the plays.
We don't want that much confidence here. All right, so those are our previews for this week. Looking back at the games, we'll be back here to wrap up the NFL segment with our dump and run segment. All right, we're back with the NFL segment here. Wrap it up with the dump and run segment. We're gonna go. I got a few questions here for Tyler and Casey. Kind of some of the things that went on during the NFL week. Kind of some of our memories of Wild Card Weekend in the past here. So let's get right into it. There's a few interesting things from last week that I wanted to bring up. Let's go with the recent news from the other day. Deshaun Watson was in the news for possibly wanting a trade. So I kind of feel like it's still going to get probably worked out with Houston, but you kind of see like that could be. I can see him moving on in the future. If it's not this year, next year, especially with JJ Watt probably moving on, that whole culture, you could just kind of see maybe a change coming at some point. I just kind of curious to get your guys' thoughts. What would be the best fit for Watson? You feel like if traded, like, what would be a good team for him? I personally think the best team for him would be the Niners. I think the Niners would be a great fit for him. His athleticism to roll out a little bit, throw the deep ball. I think that would just be an unreal fit. I think the Niners could somehow pull that off. So I don't know. That's my answer to it. Case, where do you think Watson would be a great fit for?
I agree full-heartedly. I think if the Niners got Watson, they'd be automatic Super Bowl favorites almost, at least on the NFC side. I mean, the Niners got so
banged up. They stayed healthy to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, they got so banged up this year and still performed well. I mean, for what they're playing with. But, yeah, I agree. I thought about that, and I went through the teams. But, I mean, you could release Jimmy G and, kind of move on. And, I don't know. I think he'd be a perfect fit. I mean, I would be shocked if they were not Super Bowl favorites if they got Deshaun. He's just so good, man. He's such a playmaker. And Houston, I don't know what the hell they're doing up there right now. Harden wants out from their team. Watson's going to want out from their team. And it's like kind of just BS, man. It's like all he wanted to do was have a little say in the GM decision. And they're basically like, no, we don't even want to hear your opinion about it. It's like most organizations at least would want to, like, I don't know, at least pretend to listen to their quarterback. Be like, oh, yeah, you can kind of like be in the meeting room, but we don't really care, but we're going to make our decision. But, yeah, sure, for show you can in there. So now it's like you're trading away my best wide receiver. Now you won't let me have any say in this. And I think they're just – I don't know what McNair is doing as an owner, but he's just – I don't know if he's just trying to run him out of town, but – I mean, it was like the most awkward podium press conference where the new GM's like talking about stuff that he doesn't even know about. It's like, yeah, he's our quarterback, and I'm like, how's he your quarterback? You haven't even had him. So I don't know.
We might have to go back to the 30-second dump and run answers there, but that was very good knowledge on that one as well. There, Watson. I think you make the best point with Watson. There is like it's just the whole ownership thing. You just got to let people know, like at least like give them word before you're doing something. I think that's where people get even more offended is when they don't hear it from your mouth and they hear it from somebody else. I think that even pisses people off even more. Tyler, where do you like best fit for Watson?
I like him going to New England. I think that's where he's going to end up if he gets moved. I'd love to see him on the Niners, absolutely, but the Niners seem to have a little trouble moving picks. Like they seem to, like, unless it's like for a draft pick, like to move up or. Because they never have gone after one of these.
No, they haven't.
It's always Seattle that goes and gets somewhere. So, I mean, I'd love for the Niners to get him, and he'd fit in great. But on another note, I think the GM was just saying he's our quarterback. Like, that's who I plan on having as my quarterback. And speaking of quarterbacks, you want to be traded. Where do you think Wentz will end up?
Well, everybody kind of thinks it's going to be the Colts because of the Frank Wright, the correlation there. I think he also would be a decent fit with the Niners if they couldn't land Watson as well. So I think like Shanahan would be a good guy to to kind of, and I also think Chicago would be a decent place if they ever wanted to move on from Mitchell, just to like try a different guy. But if I was Chicago, the best answer I heard about Watson was like some Bears fan. Because I'm assuming if you're a Bears fan, like we talk about it all the time out here in the West Coast. They never have had good quarterbacks. He's like, I would trade right now 3 first-round picks and Khalil Mack for Deshaun Watson right now. He's like, so I'm like, I think that's the best answer. So maybe the Bears need him the most there.
One little nugget I thought about was maybe the Dolphins trade their 3rd overall pick in Tua for Watson.
Yeah, that's not a bad one, actually. That's not a bad little throw out there. I like that. That's actually kind of realistic too. That's a good one, actually, Case. All right, let's get to number 2 here. Sunday night, we're watching, NBC for some reason puts the Washington Eagles game on Sunday Night Football, knowing, I mean, it's just, that's not the game you should have put on. I mean, I understand the Cardinals Rams wasn't the most exciting, but that's like the one game that actually the teams would have had to play the whole game, to actually determine a playoff spot. It was just kind of weird they put that on, and the NFC East just ended the season beautifully. The Eagles pull Hurts in a kind of a game there where they could have won to help the Giants make the playoffs. But after listening to some podcasts from Eagles fans, it sounds like they were happy with the decision to pull him to get the 6th pick overall. Obviously, the Giants fans weren't too happy about it, and I'm sure NBC and Al and Chris were a little upset about it as well. The final 2 minutes, but I don't really care about what they thought. I was just shocked when I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? He's just sitting there on the bench. So what was your takeaway on it? In terms of just, did you think it was kind of a not a big deal, or just kind of like the overreaction maybe to it? T, what did you think?
It was a big deal in a weird way. It's just, I'm see both sides. Like, if I'm an Eagles fan, yeah, I don't give a hoot about the 6th letter. Like, this game, I want the top pick. But I also, you're playing a division rival. Like, you want to beat them, and you want Jalen Hurts to get as much experience as possible playing in these type of games like that. So, like, I don't know if it hurts his confidence because the coach is like, oh, we want to see what this guy has. Like, he's not sold on Hurts, which I wouldn't be either, but that's just my personal opinion on Hurts. So, but
yeah, but
I'm a Giants fan, I'm pissed off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and the Eagles, I guess there were Eagles who wanted to fight Doug Peterson, like, during the game or something, like, because they pulled it. So, yeah, I think you have to, I don't know, just for, like,
okay, let me just
play your best team to try and win. Like, if you're not going to play them the whole game, that's one thing.
I think you kind of, your point, in case I'll let you make your point, is you're asking these guys to compete every day for you. And so, like, I think that's kind of part of it too, is like, if you're asking these guys to work for you, you're asking them to give in. That's where, like, I understand it from a GM standpoint or from owner standpoint, but that's hard as a player. I mean, as a coach, you're risking losing some players. It is. That's just the reality.
Yeah, you're not guaranteed to be even on the team next year. So, like, you don't care about, like, the pick. You're like,
yeah, exactly. I just think it was one. Case, what did you think of the Hurts, them pulling Hurts there?
I thought it was like Little League where you're like, oh, this kid hasn't played all year. We feel bad for him. We should just put him in, like, so his parents don't complain, and it'll make him feel good. It'll be a memory he'll never forget. And everyone else on the team's like, oh, this guy sucks, man. Why are we putting him in? I mean, it's just like, you could see Jalen Hurts like on the sideline mouth, man, this ain't right, man. It's just like, everybody on the team was just like, what the hell are we doing? I was just like, I mean, I get it in a certain way. Like, if you wanted somewhat, I mean, that's pretty obvious tanking, but you're saying like, oh, like, good job, you've been playing for us all year, you deserve to play the game. It's like, nah, man, this is grown ass men. Like, you're getting paid, man. Like, the other guys, like what you're saying, like, you want me to compete for 4 quarters and now you're putting this guy in? Like, we have a chance to win. And then it's like, you see him come in, interception, bad snap, fumble. It's like, man, right away, it's like, this guy's not good. He's not good.
The devil's advocate, to play the opposite is, we got the 6th pick overall now, and maybe they end up getting a good player. That would be they would have fell like at least 3-4 spots. So that's the one good thing of that is the Giants, if they would have lost, they would have had the top 5 pick and they won, and now they're like number 9 or 10 on the. It's just funny how in the NFL that does make a difference. As a fan, right? We're thinking, get the best pick. We don't care about any of these players or something like that.
Yeah,
but
even
it is funny to
draft.
see. You mentioned they maybe wanted to fight him on the sideline or something like that. Because I think you just kind of I kind of compared it to Zion Williamson last year. I never understood, and I don't understand it in this situation either. Is other than they just didn't want to win. Is the similarity of like, why are we pulling them in the most critical part of the game? Like, why are we using them at the most critical part of the game? That's kind of was my thing. Like, why don't you play this bum like in the second quarter or something? Get him his quarter, then you finish it up. That's just my whole mindset. If you're actually trying to win, so that's why we all know it was a good old tank job and one of the finest tank jobs. And I want to throw this out to you. Tyler, would the Eagles have had the balls to do that if there was a full house of fans in that game, in that stadium?
No, there's no chance. There's batteries being thrown, and Doug Peterson.
That makes the difference, right?
Metal umbrella, but you brought up draft picks. There's no guarantee to get a better player at 6 than 10.
No.
So,
being a better option, of course.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
especially the way Howie Rosen drafts, it's not going to happen.
Good old Howie there. I just thought that was interesting. That was a big story of the week there, and just kind of a lot of like just little storylines, like coaches and their players, and how you see it as a fan and a GM. I
just
thought that
totally
was kind of
disrespected Herm Edwards' quote: "You play to win the game."
Yeah, Doug would have.
We wouldn't have got to
making that
great
one.
Heineke performance without.
No, we would not have. We wouldn't have. All right, I got two more for you guys. We're gonna go in the past here, since it is Wild Card Weekend in the Bay Area here, especially early on in our childhood. We've got to see a lot of good Wild Card games, and there's been a lot of good Wild Card moments. What's one of your favorite playoff moments or performances that you remember most? T.
I got two. One is the Owens catch number 2, where he couldn't catch a ball. He couldn't catch a ball all game. He was like JJ Stokes out there. And then he made the play that turned his career into the Hall of Fame player he was. And then the Niners comeback victory against the Giants from down like 28.
Garcia, right?
Yeah, good old.
That was a special.
Owens was involved in that one also. So those two are my favorite.
I just remember
playoff
Owens going
moments
over to Mariucci, crying and hugging. And
I got it.
But he couldn't calm down either. Remember, he was like emotional for like 3 minutes there. He was like, it wasn't just like 5 seconds of tears. He just couldn't even keep himself together there. Case, what do you got in the wild card moment?
I'm going to give Nick a little shout out. Had to be the Tennessee Titans on the miracle. That was just that was crazy, man. It was just, was it a forward pass? We still don't know because the technology wasn't quite up to date yet. But I don't know. If you look at it, it looks pretty forward. But
they should do a sports science on that play.
What's that?
I should do a sports science on that play.
I know. I'm always curious because the way he throws it, and they're like, "Oh, it's even." I'm like, I don't know. But Frank Wycheck, the Kevin Dyson running down the sideline. It was just an incredible play and just kind of summed up the Bills' tradition of how to lose.
No flag. Going back to that game, I wanted to speak on real quick. I was a pretty big Bulls time, and Doug Flutie started like the last games, like week 17. They already had everything wrapped up. They had a wild card game wrapped up, like home field game. No, it wasn't a home. And they bench him for the fruit with the headband, Russell. And he has like this great week 17, and then they start him in the playoff game. I was like, oh, what are you doing, Buffalo? You idiots. You got Flutie flakes.
What's kind of crazy about that game,
they deserve that ending.
A lot of people forget like how much talent was on that field. Like Eddie George, Steve McNair, Thurman Thomas. Like, it's kind of weird to think that that's how long ago it was.
Frank Wycheck.
Bruce Smith.
99.
Yeah, Wycheck.
Mine's gonna be kind of a different one. Mine's gonna go favorite play in a wild card moment is Marshawn Lynch just running over the New Orleans Saints. That's gonna be my I don't know why that play I just love that play. The game, the Seahawks sucked, I know, but it was just one of those plays where just like I don't know, it just felt
they
like
won that
special.
game though.
It created an earthquake. It created an earthquake in Seattle. So to me, if you're creating the ground to move, that's pretty impressive with your move. No, I think that one. And then Tyler, I also had Owens one as well. I thought that was one of the better moments I can remember. Not really a Niners fan, but just the way the game played out.
I was actually at your house that game.
Yes, I know.
With you.
And the weird thing about that play is Steve Young. I always can remember it. Just that little trip, right as he was falling back, he just kind of trips, almost stumbles. And in some ways, maybe that helped the defense or helped the play there. All right, last question here. What do we think of playoff games so far? 3 games in without fans. And I mean, I know the Bills had some fans, but like, do you guys think it matters? Like, I kind of feel like for this week and last week, I kind of was the first time I kind of missed kind of just having the fans out there. Maybe because the games are just bigger or something like that. And I don't know. I kind of, for the first time, just felt like they weren't there.
I mean, it definitely makes a difference. It's less home field advantage. That's for damn sure.
But just even the vibe I get watching it at home it's just not quite the same. I'm still getting good football and stuff like that, but just some of the little things I think I didn't miss it at all during the regular season, but I think for the first few times now, I'm just like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to have just out of passion and like more of the emotion in some of the regards there.
I mean, I'm not too emotional about like sports, and I'm kind of just, I'm a reptilian view on it, so that fans don't bother me as far as watching it on TV. But yeah, it is nice. It's a little different in the playoffs without them.
Different element there.
Yeah.
Casey, got a thought on the no fans there?
Yeah,
or limited fans.
Yeah, it's just when people always say like, "Oh, they're at home," and this, I'm like, I don't really think of it as home anymore. I just think of it as a game where you have to travel. Like, just go.
This team didn't have to travel; they did. Basically.
Yeah, I mean, because if you were playing in Seattle, I don't think that game would have been near the score that it was. Just, I don't know, the element of just like trying to get plays in. You can't hear, quarterbacks get nervous. Certain players play better under, it's just like the bubble kind of NBA. You can just play your game. You don't have to focus about anyone yelling or screaming at you. You're just zoned in and playing your game. So I think it makes a huge difference, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it does, and I think especially now for the playoffs, it's starting to make even more difference. I thought the Bills did a pretty good job. They didn't look like too much social distancing going out there in the crowd. But they had a good amount of people. I think I don't know what their capacity they could hold in Buffalo right now, but they actually had a decent amount of fans out there compared to what I saw from some of the other teams. So I think that's our preview for the week, gentlemen.
I think they said it was 6,500, but it looked way more than that.
Yeah,
I think it was 6,500, but it seemed way more than that. And there was 2 road victories.
Family members. They didn't include family members in the crowd there or staff. You don't have to include that. That's not part of your percentage there. So we welcome all employees there.
Well, we got a big family then.
We do. All right. Well, that's our NFL segment for the week, guys. I think that was fun. It was kind of good going over some of the games today. I'm really looking forward to the AFC games today, the morning game and the night game. And then next week, we'll have those to talk about. And then in most cases, next week is usually the best week of football, right? Divisional round, you're usually getting the best teams involved. So we should have plenty to talk about come football next week. So I don't know. You guys got any other thing to say there?
Real quick, slide it in. Who you got Monday? I got Ohio State.
Oh yeah, good call there.
I think
I'm going to go with Ohio State too.
You both have Ohio State?
I think I'm going to take Ohio State too.
I think Alabama's going to win by 30.
I think Ohio State can keep up offensively. That's good. I think Fields is pretty good.
I think Fields is great. I love Fields, but I just think Alabama's too much.
Alabama. Alabama's Alabama.
What I said.
This year's Alabama. No, that's what I mean. They're just Alabama. They're good. You just expect them to win.
They remind me of LSU of 2 years ago.
The only thing with Alabama is their defense is a little bit. I've noticed in their scores, anyways, they're a little bit higher, leakier this year than they've been in the past. It seems like. So that's what I meant. I think Ohio State gets that up-tempo game. Maybe they can stay. Maybe they can play in the 30s there.
Alabama has the Antioch native Najee Harris, so we'll go for the Hotel Boys.
Oh, I didn't know that. Running back?
Yeah.
Yes, running back. Yeah.
He's
really good. Yeah. I know he is. Yeah, he's really good. Yeah, that's a good one. So it should be a good game on Monday as well. We'll have that to, if it's a good game as well, we'll have that to talk about as well. So with that being said, hope everybody out there has a good week. And we'll see you next week on the Fatboy FadeAway Sports Podcast. Peace. Later.
Like,
Like,